To the group called the Patriotic Millionaires, critics are saying you've got bullying nonsense that you're trying to sell. They're saying that the falsehoods are right in their dishonest slogan, that you're unpatriotic if you don't pay what they bully you into what they think you should pay. Now, their slogan is being called absurd. Tax the rich, save America. Yes, it really is that simple. Yes, it's a slogan for simpletons. The fact is, they don't tell you is this: hundreds of billions of dollars in government waste while they want more of your money. And the top 20% already pay about 87% of all federal income taxes. There's more they're not telling you. Let's bring in the former gubernatorial candidate for California, John Cox. John Cox, great to see you. What's your reaction to this?
Great to be with you, Liz.
What do you think of all this?
Well, the last thing we should do is give more money to the government, which, as you say, wastes a lot of the money and uses it inefficiently and unproductively. But, you know, there's one reason why Bernie Sanders and all these people want to do that, and that's all about power. The more money that goes into the government, the more powerful they are. Now, we should help people who need help, Liz, and we should try to reduce inequality, but you don't do that by taxing the rich. What you do is you give people vouchers for education and vouchers for health care and assistance so that they can use those vouchers to go and choose to spend those vouchers and use their own consumer choice to get a better deal, to make sure the quality is good, and to make sure that everybody uses the resources the most effective manner.
Well, here's the thing. 2/3 of the U.S. households get more in the way of government benefits than they pay into the system in taxes. That's according to the CBO. Something like 44, 43% don't pay any federal income taxes. Yes, of course, we know they pay payroll taxes. But when you hear the hardline ideology of the New York Times, Farhad Manjoo saying, quote, abolish billionaires, Elizabeth Warren and Beto O'Rourke, they want no more upper bracket people in order to fix income inequality. Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are constantly talking about flattening and getting at the upper brackets in order to pay for their big government programs. There's no indication that taking more money actually solves somebody else's and raises somebody else's income. We know about the government programs that help, but that's what is at the heart of this deceptive argument, John.
Well, and not only that, what the rich do when they raise tax rates like that is they find other ways to avoid the tax, which is also unproductive and inefficient. I'm a CPA, Liz. I used to do tax returns when the tax bracket was 70%. And what people did is they tried to manipulate their income. They tried to move it all over the place. And in doing so, they didn't use it efficiently or productively. Liz, our standard of living is accelerated. You know this. When we use our resources effectively and productively. Yeah. When we have government make all these problems like this and raise tax rates, it makes our use of resources very inefficient. And that really does hurt our standard of living. And that hurts the people that need an increase in standard of living a lot more. You know, I don't necessarily, but the people who are struggling and working, they need to use money efficiently and productively.
The other thing, too, about the misleading income inequality fight that Bernie and the others are trying to tout and sell, they only use income information from the IRS and census. It does not include government and company benefits, things like jobless benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, 401ks, pension plans, on and on. And also company health plans. What are your thoughts about that? By the way, I think the lower and middle class own about half of all pension accounts in this country. That includes firemen, teachers, and cops.
Absolutely, and the reduction in the corporate tax rate that the president got through made U.S. companies a lot more efficient, made them a lot more competitive in the world, and brought back a lot of money that they've been using to increase their stock price. The stock market hit close to a new record again today, and I think a large part of that is that they're able to bring that money back and use it efficiently. That's what government ought to be doing, Liz. But, you know, this is all about envy, and it's all about control, and that's why these presidential candidates are pushing this stuff. And I hope that your viewers and the rest of the people in this country get wise to what these politicians are doing. You know, we need to make sure that money stays in the hands of consumers who can use it to make sure that we have competition and quality and efficiency in the use of our resources.
And to your point, even mutual fund company, Fidelity says, you know what? 9 out of 10 people who are millionaires, they were not born wealthy. They did not start out life on third base. They earned it. And so, you know, there's a lot of income mobility in this country, too. People move up in the upper brackets and move down. That's been this way for decades, John.
people don't resent the rich. What
Okay.
they want to do is be rich, and they want the opportunity. And I think that's what we have to do in this country.
I got to get to this. A Forbes report says Bernie Sanders has an estimated $2.5 million fortune, $1.3 million in real estate. He owns multiple homes, $500,000 in cash investments, $700,000 in government pensions. Your take on Bernie Sanders being a one-percenter, John?
Welcome to the capitalist world, Bernie. I welcome you earning a living and earning resources that you can then better deploy to help others. I think that's a wonderful thing. You know, that's the benefit of our wonderful system. And we can see when other countries have different systems, like Venezuela, you know, that they don't enjoy those kinds of benefits. And so I hope Bernie loves living in the United States and certainly doesn't want to go change his residency to Venezuela. What do you think, Liz?
I don't know, John. We'll have you back on to talk about it.